You don't know me, but if you've got a minute, I hope you'll stay. This story. It might change the way you look at love, at family, at the words we leave unsaid, because I've been carrying a secret for a long time. It's a letter. A letter. I wrote to my child, my daughter, Emma, almost 12 years ago, but I never sent it. Never even told her it existed. I wrote it during one of those quiet, lonely nights when the whole world seems to fall asleep but your heart won't stop racing. I remember it like it was yesterday, sitting at the kitchen table, a mug of coffee gone cold beside me, the soft hum of the fridge the only sound in the house. The dog, Max, was curled up near my feet, and there I was, with a pen in one hand and a paper shaking in the other. I wrote the first line slowly, "Dear Emma." Then I stopped. My hand trembled. I stared at those two words for what felt like forever. So much I wanted to say, so many things I'd kept locked away. I remembered her laugh when she was little, high-pitched and full of sunshine. I remembered the time she tried to bake cookies on her own when she was 8 and ended up with a flour-covered kitchen and a smile that could melt winter. I remembered her high school graduation, how she looked out into the crowd and found me, and for 1 second, we both just smiled. And then I remembered the silence, the fights, the distance that grew over time. The night she said she was moving across the country for work, and I just said, "Do what you have to do," when what I wanted to say was, "Please don't go." But I didn't. That night at the table, I wrote everything I couldn't say out loud. I told her I was proud. I told her I was scared when she left, not because she couldn't make it, but because I wasn't sure if she still needed me. I told her I was sorry for being quiet when I should have spoken, for being hard when I should have been soft, and I told her I loved her deeply, always. I folded the letter and tucked it into the back of my drawer. It's still there, yellowed a bit. The ink has faded, but the words there as sharp as ever. Years passed. Emma built a life, got married. She's in Chicago now, working long hours. We talk sometimes, birthdays, holidays, a few calls in between. They're always polite, friendly, but short. She calls me Dad with a voice that feels more like a handshake than a hug. Last week, I was cleaning her old room, dusting off the shelves, straightening the faded quilt her grandmother stitched, and I found that letter again, still in the drawer, right where I left it. I held it for a long time. My knees cracked when I sat on the edge of her bed. My eyes burned, not from dust, but from everything I'd buried inside. Why do we wait? Why do we hold our hearts behind our teeth, thinking there will always be another day? I couldn't take it anymore. I picked up the phone. My hands were sweating. I dialed her number, hoping she'd answer. She did. "Hey, Dad," she said, like it was just another Tuesday. "Everything okay?" And I almost said, "Yeah, I just wanted to hear your voice." But instead, I took a breath and whispered, "Actually, there's something I need to tell you." There was a pause, and then a knock at the door. Loud, urgent. "I'll call you right back," I said quickly. hanging up without thinking. I stood frozen, letter still in my other hand, heart pounding so loud I swear the walls heard it. Now I'm sitting here again. Same kitchen, same chair. The coffee's cold. The dog's gone. The letter's still in my hand. And I'm wondering, did I just miss my chance? Maybe tomorrow I'll try again. Or maybe I'll finally send the letter. But if you're reading this, if you're holding something in, please don't wait like I did. Talk to people. In English, in silence, in love, just talk before the knock. On the door comes. I stood at the door for a while before opening it. My mind was still back on the phone, on her voice, on the way she paused like maybe, just maybe, she had been waiting for me to finally say what I needed to say. When I finally opened the door, it was just the mailman. He handed me a package, something I had ordered weeks ago and forgotten about. I nodded, said thank you, and closed the door. But the moment had already passed. I walked back to the kitchen, set the package down without even opening it, and looked at the phone. The screen was black, no missed call, no text, nothing. I thought about calling her back. I really did. I even picked up the phone once, twice. But I couldn't bring myself to press the button. What if she was busy? What if she thought I was being dramatic? What if she didn't want to hear it? It's strange, isn't it? How the people we love most are sometimes the ones we're most afraid to be honest with. You think it would be easy. But love, real love, it makes you vulnerable. And I guess I never got used to that. I sat in silence, the kind that hums louder than noise. I reached into the drawer, pulled the letter out again, and opened it. My handwriting had wobbled in places. The ink smudged where tears had fallen. Dear Emma, if you ever read this, I want you to know something I should have said more often. I love you. I am proud of you. And I miss you. That part always gets me, because the truth is, I do miss her. Not just her voice or her laugh. I miss U.S. I miss the version of her who used to sit at the kitchen table doing homework while I cooked spaghetti. I miss the teenager who'd roll her eyes when I tried to dance in the living room. I miss the young woman who hugged me at the airport and promised to call soon. But now, years have slipped by. It's like we're both living on different sides of the same river. We can see each other wave across the water, but neither of us knows how to build the bridge anymore. I think about the last time she visited. Thanksgiving, maybe 4 years ago. She brought her husband, nice guy, works in tech. We made small talk over pie and coffee. She asked how I'd been, and I said, same old, same old. But I wanted to say, I'm lonely. I miss you. I need to know if you still think of this place as home. I didn't, though. I smiled, poured more coffee, and changed the subject. The next morning, she left early, something about a delayed flight. She hugged me quick and light, like she was already halfway out the door. After she left, I stood in the doorway for a long time, just looking out at the street. The leaves had started to fall. Max barked once at a squirrel, then settled down. Again, I remember whispering to no one in particular. I should have told her. But telling someone you love them, especially when you fail them in small ways over the years, it's not easy. I used to think being a parent meant being strong all the time, always having the answers. But now, I think being a parent means being human in front of your child. It means admitting when you're scared, when you're wrong, when you're sorry. And God, Emma, I'm sorry for all the times I didn't say what mattered. So tonight, I'm going to do something I should have done years ago. I'm going to write her a new letter, not one I hide away, not one I fold and forget. This time, I'll send it. I sit back down at the same old kitchen table. The wood's a little more scratched now. The light above flickers sometimes. Outside, the street's quiet, just the occasional hum of a passing car and the rustle of the wind through the trees. I pull out a fresh piece of paper. My hand is steadier this time. Dear Emma, this isn't the first letter I've written you, but it's the first one I'll send. I don't know how to explain how much I love you without sounding like a fool, but I'll try anyway. I don't know how many pages I'll write tonight. Maybe 2, maybe 10. But for once, I won't hold back. I'll tell her about the night I watched her fall asleep in her crib and whispered a prayer I didn't even understand. I'll tell her about the time I yelled at her for coming home late and then cried afterward because I was just so scared. I'll tell her about the letter I never sent and why. And when I'm done, I'll put it in an envelope, stamp it, and walk it down to the mailbox myself. Even if it's the middle of the night, even if it's cold, because sometimes love doesn't come wrapped in perfect words. Sometimes it comes in the form of courage, the kind that shows up long after you thought it was too late. But just as I finish the first page, just as I begin writing about the day she left for college, the phone rings. My heart jumps. It's Emma. I answer quickly, breath caught in my chest. Dad, she says, her voice softer than usual. Sorry I didn't call you back earlier. Something about the way you said you needed to talk. I don't know. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I gripped the phone tight. Emma, I say, voice trembling. There's something I've been meaning to tell you. She waits. I open my mouth to speak, but just then a loud crash from the back of the house, glass breaking. The line crackles. Dad, she says, panicked. What was that? I turn toward the hallway, heart pounding. I don't know. Hold on. I dropped the phone, the letter still on the table, unfinished. As I walk toward the sound, I think, what if I never get another chance to say it? So I'll leave you with this. Reader, don't wait. Say the words. Write the letter. Make the call before life knocks at your door and takes the chance away. I move slowly down the hallway, heart racing. The crash had come from the back room, once Emma's playroom, now a place where I store old boxes, broken things I swear I'll fix, and memories I don't know how to part with. The door creaks as I push it open. Moonlight spills in through the window, painting shadows on the floor. A picture frame lies shattered on the ground. I recognize it immediately. It's the photo of Emma and me at the lake. She was 10, maybe 11. I had just taught her how to bait her own hook. She hated touching the worms but insisted on trying. That smile on her face. Pure victory, pride, and love, you can see. It how she looked at me like I was her whole world. I kneeled down, brushing away shards of glass. My hand slips and I cut my finger, just a little. A thin line of red appears, but I don't care. I sit on the floor, back against the wall, holding that broken frame like it still has something to say. And maybe it does, because love has a strange way of surviving. Even when it's cracked, even when it's covered in dust. I press the photo to my chest and close my eyes. Behind me, the phone rings again, distant, muffled, but I don't move. I let it ring and stop. Maybe that was it. Maybe she called because she knew on some level that tonight was different. That tonight, her father was finally ready to say the things he'd never said. But still, I sit there, not out of fear this time, but reflection. Grief and love tangled up in the same breath. Eventually, I stand. I walk back to the kitchen, fingers still trembling, and find the letter where I left it sitting beside my cold cup of coffee, waiting. I read what I wrote. Dear Emma, this isn't the first letter I've written you, but it's the first one I'll send. I smile faintly, but the rest the parts about the fishing trip, about that time she danced barefoot in the rain, about the sound of her laughter filling this house, I haven't written that part yet. I tear up the page, not out of frustration, but clarity, because this story, it doesn't belong on paper anymore. It belongs in a voice, in a moment, in a conversation that should have happened years ago, but maybe still can. I pick up the phone and call again. Voicemail. I wait for the beep. And then, slowly, voice, shaking but honest, I begin. Emma, I'm sorry it's taken me this long. I guess I thought I had more time, or that you already knew. But maybe I'm the one who needed to say it more than you needed to hear it. I miss you. Not just on holidays, not just on birthdays. I miss my daughter. I miss the way you used to run through this house, singing off-key, and laughing like the world belonged to you. I don't know when the space grew between us. Maybe I made it bigger with all the things I didn't say. But I'm trying now, and if you'll let me, I want to start again. I love you. Always have, always will. I hang up. And I breathe. Not the kind of breath that fills your lungs, but the kind that fills your soul. The kind you don't realize you've been holding for years. The next morning, I wake up to a soft knock on the door. It's still early. The sky is gray, and the neighborhood is just beginning to stir. Somewhere down the street, a lawn mower hums. A dog barks twice and goes quiet. I shuffle to the door, rope half-tied, hair a mess. I open it, and there she is. Emma. Hair pulled back, suitcase in one hand, eyes full of everything I'd been afraid I'd never see again. Understanding, worrying, forgiveness, maybe even love. I got your message, she says softly. I nod. I don't trust my voice yet. She looks around. I didn't know if I should come. but something told me I should. I step aside. You're always welcome here, I say. Always. We sit at the kitchen table. The same old chairs, the same light above us. But everything feels different now. She sees the torn up letter in the trash. Was that for me? She asks. I nod. You should have sent it. She says gently. I know. I whisper. But I'm glad you're here. Maybe we don't need letters anymore. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. Her grip is warm, familiar, forgiving. I'm glad I'm here too, she says. Let's talk. And we do. We talk for hours about everything and nothing. About the years we lost and the ones we still have. We cry, we laugh, we remember we don't get everything right. But we try, because love doesn't need perfect words. It just needs a voice. So, if you're still with me, if you've read this far, let me leave you with this. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the right words. Don't wait for tomorrow. Because the people you love need to hear it now. In English, in broken words, in trembling voices, in imperfect conversations, around old kitchen tables. Talk to them while you still can. And if you need to, write the letter, then send it. Or better yet, say it out loud. Emma stayed for 3 days. I hadn't expected that. Honestly, I thought she'd just sit for a cup of coffee, offer a kind word, and head back to her world, her busy, beautiful world, where I was only a distant voice on the other end of a holiday call. But she stayed, and in those 3 days, something strange and beautiful happened. We talked not just about the past, but about who we are now. We peeled back years of silence, slowly, carefully, like lifting layers of wallpaper from an old wall, revealing the raw truth underneath. Sometimes the glue held fast, and we had to work at it, but we kept going. I told her about the nights I couldn't sleep, when I'd walk past her empty room and whisper goodnight even though she was hundreds of miles away. I told her about the letter I wrote after she left for college and how I folded it so tight it still has creases like veins running through it. She told me things too. She told me she used to call and hang up before I could answer, just to hear my voice on the machine. She told me she thought I was disappointed in her when she chose her own path, far from home, far from everything I'd hoped she'd stay close to. I wasn't. I said, eyes burning. I was proud, so proud. I just didn't know how to say it without sounding selfish. She smiled. I think maybe I was waiting to hear it out loud. Double quotes. Sometimes we think people know how we feel. We assume our love is obvious, written between the lines, felt in the quiet ways. But people, especially the ones closest to us, they still need to hear it, plain, simple, spoken in our own trembling voice. Talk to people. In English. We made dinner together the second night, chicken pot pie, her favorite as a kid. She still didn't like peas, and I still overcooked the crust, but neither of us minded. Afterward, we sat on the porch, wrapped in old blankets, listening to the crickets. You know what I remember most about this place? She asked. What? You Used to sit out here with Mom and drink your coffee in the mornings. You didn't talk much, but I remember the way she'd look at you when you weren't paying attention. I smiled at the memory. She was the talker. I was the listener, maybe, Emma said. But I think you always had things to say. You just didn't know when it was okay to say them. She looked at me. It's okay now. On the last morning, she packed her things slowly. We didn't rush. No one pretended the goodbye wouldn't hurt. At the door. She hugged me, really hugged me this time. No rushed pat on the back, no forced smile. I'm going to call you more, okay? She said, you don't have to promise anything. I said, I want to, she replied. And then she reached into her bag, pulled something out, and handed it to me. It was a notebook. Simple, spiral-bound, the kind a student might use. What's this? I asked. A new letter, she said. For you. I opened it later that evening, sitting once again at the old kitchen table. The house felt quiet again, but not empty. Inside were the first lines of a journal. Dear Dad, I wish I had written this sooner. I think you tried your best. I know you loved me, even when you didn't know how to show it. I forgive the silence. I'm just glad we started talking again. There's more I want to say, and I hope you'll write back. I closed the notebook, pressed it to my chest, and wept out, not from sadness, not this time, but from relief. It's funny, isn't it? We live in a country full of noise, radios and TVs and podcasts and phones buzzing every second, and yet the most important words, I'm sorry, I miss you, I love you, are the ones we so often leave unsaid. But not anymore. Not for me, because I've learned that time is not as generous as we think. That people grow apart not because they want to, but because no one speaks up soon enough. So now I speak to my daughter, to my friends, even to strangers sometimes. At the diner down the street, I talked to the waitress named Sarah, who reminds me a little of Emma when she was younger. I ask the mailman how his day's going. I leave voice messages even when I know they won't answer, because I want them to hear it. And I want you to hear it too. Talk to people in English, in your voice, in your way. Say the things that matter, not because it's easy, but because love deserves to be heard. Even if your voice shakes, even if it's been too long, even if the letter stayed in the drawer for years. Say it now, before the doorbell rings, before the silence comes again, before the page turns and someone else writes the ending. And maybe they'll answer. Maybe they'll write back. Maybe they're waiting, just like you.